Boom, my people, my people, my people. What's the good old deal with the good old people, man? Back again. Another video. You know what I mean? Toughest environments, man. College football. College football's toughest environments. Great team versus raucous crowd. Which matters most? Now, this is something that I really wanted to do a live on with my brothers, and we probably will still talk about it. But this is something I wanted to make a quick video about because I've noticed everybody has different opinions about this. Now, this list came out with the toughest environments of college football, the top 25 of the toughest places to play, right? But when I think the toughest places to play, to me, just to me, in my humble opinion, it's just my humble opinion, pun intended, right? To me, you have to break this thing into two categories. I believe you have to break this into two categories: home record versus raucous crowd. Why? What do you mean by it, Coach Sean? What you talking about? What I mean is, look, just because a team has a great home record, think about what I'm saying. Just because a football team has a great home record doesn't mean your environment is raucous. Doesn't mean your home crowd is livid, loud, raucous. Uh, you know, whatever you want to call it, hostile, right? Um, it may be that it's just your football team is great, right? Your football team is great. Um, you know, I think people, sort of blur the lines when they're talking about toughest home field environments, right? For example, let's take our own team, right? Let's pick on our own team, Alabama, right? You could lump Bama in with Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, the last 3 or 4 years, and at times, believe it or not, Clemson here of late. You look at Bama, you look at Georgia, you look at Ohio State, preferably those three. Those crowds are not all the time raucous, right? Ohio State's crowd is not the loudest crowd in the Big Ten. I've been out there. Alabama's crowd is surely not the loudest crowd in the SEC, and neither is Georgia's, right? But then again, you look at their home record. You say, well, Coach Sean, home environment, their home environment has got to be good. Look at their home records. Okay, well, I can make a case that over the last 5 years, Georgia, Bama, Ohio State has had some of the best home field records in college football, right? But then I could also make the case that those same three has had some of the best away records in college football. So how does the home field affect you then? Do you see what I'm saying? It's just your team is great. It's not that your environment is raucous. Um, when you think about raucous environments in the SEC, I've been to these stadiums. I've been to a few of them, not all of them, but a few of them. LSU is crazy, right? Um, Georgia and Bama get crazy at times. They get loud. They're loud. But LSU or Georgia, Georgia or Bama they're not louder than LSU. They're not louder than Tennessee. Hurts my teeth to say that. Right? Texas A&M is ridiculously loud. Auburn is ridiculously loud. And South Carolina is ridiculously loud. When you're talking about best home field advantage, man, to me, you have to separate great team from raucous crowd. When you talk about some of the best environments as far as crowd is concerned, as far as just loud, can't hear yourself think, you think of Penn State, you think of Tennessee, you think of Texas A&M, Florida, South Carolina, Oregon, Auburn, Virginia Tech. Think about these guys. These are stadiums that stay loud throughout the entirety of the game, unless you come in there and put belt to ass. And then at that point in time, we all know what happens then. The crowd hush. That's everywhere. But I'll tell anybody, if you think Bama, Georgia, and Ohio State are loud crowds in raucous, hostile environments, I challenge you to go out to Texas A&M. I challenge you to go down to LSU in Baton Rouge. I challenge you to go out to Penn State on the whiteout. I challenge you to go out there to the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. I challenge you to stay right here in the SEC and go out to Florida. Go down to Gainesville. South Carolina. These crowds are very hostile. I think in the case of Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State, these teams have won so much to where the crowd have sort of become sort of wine and cheesers. You know, we'll stay at home and watch the game. We'll clap. In 2016, I went to an LSU Alabama game. I think we won that game 10-0, if I'm not mistaken. Jalen Hurts ran it in at the last third, fourth quarter. I can't remember. I think we won 10-0. But I remember the first quarter when Jalen rolled out and he threw an interception to Jamal Adams, number 33, I think he was in college. I've never heard nothing like that. I've never, the pro game, college game, I have never heard a stadium erupt like that. I've never heard decibels like that in any football game I've ever sat in, played in, watched, whatever you want to call it. Those fans were just different, man. They were different. And Alabama used to be that way. Alabama in like 2015, 16-ish, years, the Jonathan Allen, Reuben Foster years, dating all the way back to when Brody Crowell was there years ago. BDS, Brown Denny Stadium, was exceptionally loud, right? You win 6 national championships, man, you sort of lose a little fan juice, if you know what I mean. And Georgia's the same way. You know what I mean? Georgia has lost a little fan juice as far as being a hostile crowd. Now, every one of these stadiums will get hostile if the right team come in, right? Alabama was just as loud as anybody when Tennessee comes in, LSU comes in. But I'm talking about consistently through the year. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, these guys are not in the toughest environments to play. Now, that's my definition. Now, some people think your home record factors into your hostile environment home crowd. I don't believe that. I don't believe that because your team is just a great team. When your home field record almost matches your road win record, that's not a home field advantage at all as far as raucous crowds is concerned. That's just your team is great, right? And that's no disrespect to any team. That's actually a compliment. When you think of raucous crowds, man, go to Tennessee. Hurts my teeth to say that. These guys, even though the crowd is great, all that energy hadn't always equated to wins, right? Florida State, all that loud crowd fandom hadn't always equated to wins. South Carolina, Penn State, Tennessee, Texas A&M, even Texas A&M, as up and down as their seasons has been, their crowd is outstanding. It's crazy. I promise you it is. So that's what I mean by home field advantage versus raucous crowds, toughest environments. What do you mean when you asking what's the toughest environment? Are you talking about the team with the best record? Well, we only have 2 losses in 5 years, so our record should be we have the best home field advantage. No, it's just your team is awesome, right? If you think that Ohio State is loud, I challenge any of you to go to Virginia Tech out in Blacksburg. If you think Georgia is loud, I challenge you to go to a Florida home game when they're winning, whatever the case may be. And I challenge any of you in any conference to go out to an LSU game, and it's just the truth. It's a lot of young fans in those stadiums, especially LSU. Their student section, just like South Carolina, a lot of young kids, a lot of huge student sections, right? So the crowd is the majority of the crowd is not 32 to 60 years old. It's more of your 17 to 28 years old. So I challenge you to check those stadiums out, man. Again, what do they mean when they say toughest environment? Are you talking about a home record, right? It's got to equate to wins, right? You would think, right? But I like to separate the two. Raucous crowd from great team, because there are teams out there that have great home crowds that doesn't equate to wins, right? That are much louder than the big three, much louder than Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State, right? And that's just the truth. So Put in the chat and let me know what you guys think, man. Is it really, when you're talking about toughest environments, is it home record? Or is it really about the crowd making the field, the stadium, a hostile environment? Which one is it? Right? I told you my opinion. Now tell me yours, man. I appreciate all of you, man. I appreciate for tapping in. Hit that like button, subscribe. And until the next episode, always remember the truth is in the details. Nothing can change that. Roll Tide.